If you're new here, my name's Rachel. I'm an illustrator from Australia. For the past 58 days, I've been doing a drawing every day in this little book. My goal is to get to 100 days. This is the furthest I've ever made it in a drawing challenge. Last time I tried to do a drawing a day challenge, I think I made it to about 21 days. So I'm pretty happy with how I've been going. I wanted to give you a little update on some of the drawings so far, some of the things I've learnt, and my favourite and least favourite drawings. So I started this drawing challenge on the 1st of September with this little illustration. And I just had a really nice time drawing and thought that I'd try and keep that momentum going, knowing that I've got a baby due at the end of February, and that's going to change how much time I can take out to do personal work. And I've learned a couple of things. The first, I would say, is I've really learnt not to judge an idea until I've seen it through to a certain amount of completion. I'll start with ideas and just think, it's not going to work, and abandon it. And maybe I haven't given it a proper run. With this project, I'm trying to make sure I complete the idea that I start with that day. I'm really trying to see the whole idea through to a finished illustration and sort of give it that justice rather than just abandoning an idea. And a lot of the time I'm finding that the ones I think are a great idea, this is going to be awesome, just turn out to be really average. And then some of the ones that I think, this isn't worth my time, I don't want to do it, those ones end up being some of my favourite pieces. So it's really been an exercise in kind of learning to withhold that self-judgment while creating, because that is something that people say a lot, is you can't do those two things at the same time. You can't create and edit, you can't sort of produce and judge at the same time. So I'm really feeling that to be true so far. And the second thing that I've found really interesting so far about this challenge is forcing myself to draw in analog every single day is pulling out really different parts of my style. Those of you who have followed my work for a while know that there are always common themes that come up, and that's the same for every artist, but I feel like the more consistently I'm putting time into my personal work, the more I'm seeing those themes really strengthen. As an artist, I have a habit of exploring an idea once and then moving on from that and sort of thinking that that's done, I've seen all I wanted to see there, on to the next thing, rather than really revisiting something over and over again and exploring it for all of its potential. So I've really found that having that dedicated daily practice just kind of allows you to strengthen your own personal language in a way that I haven't before. But let's get on to the most exciting bit. Let's take a look at the actual drawings, and I'm going to tell you about my favourite and least favourite and why. So like most sketchbooks that I work in, this one is a little bit chaotic. I don't ever work in chronological order. I just pick random pages to start from. Throughout my daily drawings, which I started in the middle, they're interspersed with some old sketches and sketches for different purposes, but more or less I've tried to work in chronological order from here, the middle, and go through. We're going to do a quick flip, and then I'll talk a little bit about which ones are my favourites, which ones I think had merit or were good ideas but poorly executed. So I'm going to do a proper sketchbook tour of this sketchbook once it's finished. I've still got a little bit of a way to go. Just few blank pages in there, just interspersed throughout. But today I wanted to talk about some of my favorites and not so favorites from this drawing challenge. There's ones like this where the idea was great, but the execution was a little bit shoddy. I was really happy with how this one came out. This was another one where the execution didn't really match how I thought it would be. Same with this one. I thought that would work better than it did. This one was a huge one for that. I felt like I had a great idea, that I had a clear idea about how I was going to execute it, and it still came out looking kind of just not great. Part of that is I've put paper over the pages where the alcohol markers have bled through, and the paper that I put on there sort of bleeds a little bit with the Unipins, so it doesn't come out great, but can't really blame that. This one was one where it didn't really turn out the way I liked. I just worked too heavily, and it's just lack of experience, really. So it's all practice, it's all learning, which I was really sort of happy to take away from that drawing experience too, was, you know, you've got to have the ones that don't work out or teach you that that's not the way you do it. This was one I was actually surprised by. I didn't feel like the idea was strong or that I had any good thoughts in my head, and it came out actually a lot better than I thought. This was one where I thought I had a great idea and it just did not compute. Even with the colour, it's just really hard for the eye to read. There's too much going on for that kind of scale. So I was disappointed with that one, and geez, it took a long time too. So my favourite and least favourite. I hadn't pre-planned this. I thought I would have them picked out, but I haven't. I think my favourite for concept is this little drawing here. I think that's just my favourite for idea, but not my favourite for execution. I think my favourite for execution is this one so far. My least favourite for execution is this one. And my least favourite for idea, I feel like that's yeah, that's got to be my least favourite. It felt really, I just didn't feel like I had much in the tank that day. And I don't think it came together really at all. It just wasn't much of anything. Thank you so much for checking out my 100-day drawing challenge update. I'm at 58 days, and hopefully I'll check back in at 100 with more to show you. And thank you so much just for checking out my work and taking an interest in what I do. See you next time.